Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. As today we're going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive into the Edmonton Oilers offseason so far. As I meant to talk about this a long time ago when we got Skinner, we got Arvidsson on free agency day. Just been super busy as of the late, but we're going to be coming back with some streams, so stay tuned to that. Should have a stream coming out tomorrow. We're going to be playing some more of that Buffalo Sabres Hockey Legacy Manager franchise mode that we've been doing, that little flashback one. So that should be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. But instead of me continuing to babble on, let's get into talking about the Edmonton Oilers offseason so far, as this is probably one of the best off seasons we have seen. Honestly, this has been one of my favorites. So let's hop into looking at the screen, which we're not going to look at the lineup just yet. We're going to get into kind of what we have done. And honestly, I was very concerned about this free agency because we were heading in with, you know, Jeff Jackson kind of being our interim general manager. We didn't know who was going to be the GM. We didn't know what was really going to happen in this offseason. There was a lot of speculation, and I think, honestly, a lot of worry about what was going to happen. Now, unfortunately, we don't have Cat Friendly. We do have the boys out at Puckpedia, which they've been doing a lot of upgrades to their stuff, which I'm hoping they continue to do more, especially just with their user interface. I'm not the biggest fan, but that's besides that point. Let's get into talking about the Edmonton Oilers coming into this season of the 2024 season, 2025, of course. It's going to be a big season here for the Edmonton Oilers because there's a lot of big decisions that we're going to have to make. I think this is honestly our biggest chance to try for it because of Leon Draisaitl's contract that will be expiring at the end of the season. So this is definitely a big year for us to kind of go all in, get some big players to kind of push us a little bit more forward. And, you know, after especially making it to the Stanley Cup final, this is a year that we want to make that big push and make a lot of big changes to the Edmonton Oilers. If you look at the old Edmonton Oilers of last year, we struggled at a lot of points, and I think the biggest things that we did struggle in, as I cannot spell Edmonton for crying aloud, was our goal scoring. I think our goal scoring was definitely our biggest issue this past season. Of course, yeah, we're fourth in goals for. Like, we had no issues. And now, well, to be honest, we're always going to be high in goal scoring just because of McDavid and Draisaitl alone. But you look at the other goal scorers that we did have on the team. Of course, we had Zach Hyman. We also had Evander Kane and Warren Foegele. That's really about it, that you have guys that had over 20 goals. If you look at guys that had, you know, over 15, right? That's, you know, Nuge, Bouchard, and that's it. So you had, you know, well, seven guys that were elite goal scorers for the team. Not really elite, but good goal scorers for the team. Is Zach Hyman going to really stay at that high shooting percentage? You know what I mean? 18% is pretty high for somebody like Zach Hyman, who's been producing a lot of goals over the past 2 years, right? You know, 30, 40 goal or 50 goals this past season. But his usual shooting percentage has been around that 13, 12%. And I think that's where it's going to hover next season. I think he's only going to have probably maybe 40 goals at the most, but, you know, 30 goals at the least. And I think that's where, you know, Zach Hyman's target will probably be this upcoming season. And you look at the playoffs, right? You look at what we had. Zach Hyman was a beast, but he did slow down at some moments of time. So what happens if he slows down? And Draisaitl and McDavid are slowing down. Who else did you have? You know, you had Holloway, but he wasn't always there. You had Janmark, who had some great goals. Evander Kane wasn't shooting so great. Henrique was playing great. But then after that, you didn't have many guys that were scoring goals. You had Ryan, who played 19 games and didn't score a goal. You had Perry, who only got one in the finals. So the biggest target was getting goal scorers. Getting goal scorers who can produce for the team, especially wingers. So what did we do? We went out and picked up Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson here for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll get into the guys that re-signed here in just a little bit. We'll get into those guys a little bit. I want to start off with the fact that we got Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson. So we heard about Jeff Skinner's name first, or I think it was Victor Arvidsson. I think it was the other way around, if I do believe. I think it was Arvidsson who got signed first and then Skinner afterwards. So we'll get into Arvidsson, I guess, first. Arvidsson, I love him. I think he's an amazing two-way guy, a guy who's able to finish. Now, the problem with him is he hasn't really played a full season since 2017, where he only played 80 games and played in the playoffs. Ever since then, throughout the regular season, he's been injured, hasn't been fully healthy. So that's my biggest question here with Arvidsson. Can the guy stay healthy, and will he be a big producer? I think in the playoffs-wise, he's been a big producer for the LA Kings in the playoffs, putting up 7 points against us in that 2023 playoffs and putting up 3 points against us in the previous year. The Oilers liked what they've seen in Arvidsson, and I love Arvidsson. Honestly, I loved him ever since he was in Nashville. He was one of my favorite players when he was playing there. I like his underdog kind of attitude. He plays a very physical game. He's fast. He's speedy. He gets in those nasty areas, and he's able to score a lot of goals. The last 3 years with the LA Kings, he's been putting up some pretty good numbers. Even though he had a shortened season, only playing 18 games, he was an almost point-per-game player. The previous year, he put up 59 points in just 77 games, having, 26 goals throughout that season. Amazing. A perfect guy to kind of throw up alongside of Leon Draisaitl. Then you also have Jeff Skinner, guy who is getting a little older, a guy who definitely slowed down in production this past season, but honestly, I think it's going to be a guy that's going to produce massively for the upcoming season for the Edmonton Oilers. I always also been a big fan of Jeff Skinner, and when I seen he got bought out, I was like, this is a guy the Edmonton Oilers absolutely need to pick up. At a $3 million cap hit, it's amazing for a one-year deal. It's not that bad, especially since, he got bought out. He's being paid by the Buffalo Sabres for that buyout. We can take a look at the buyout details. I think that'll fully show us the full kind of buyout hit. But, 1.4, then it jumps up from there for the Buffalo Sabres, which is crazy cap hit that he's going to get paid $6.4 million in that 1 year there. That'll definitely be hurtful for the Sabres later on down in the years. It's not horrible. They did want his contract off the team in $9 million for Jeff Skinner, who wasn't really producing a massive amount of points. Definitely is a little bit pricey for the Buffalo Sabres, but an amazing bargain pickup for the Edmonton Oilers, honestly. Like, a guy that could throw you up, 20, 30 goals a season. I think he'll be a 30, 40 guy, especially since most likely he will be playing up on the top line is my guess. Instead of throwing Nuge up there, I'm guessing Skinner will most likely maybe take that top line spot, or he'll play alongside Draisaitl, which if they do the Arvidsson Skinner with Draisaitl line, I think that'll be amazing. I think there's so many combinations that you could kind of go around with this team and kind of do to make this team look really, really good. And I like the move. I really, really do like the move. I think it's a smart move here for the Edmonton Oilers, getting both of those guys. I honestly thought we were only going to get one. Was very surprised that we got both. Now we'll get into the guys that we have re-signed. Of course, I think there wasn't very many. We did get Kelvin Pickard. I think that was the big guy that we did re-sign right before free agency day hit. But we did get Troy Stecher back on a deal. Nice depth guy. He's not going to be a crazy good defenseman. He's good depth-wise. Josh Brown. I really am not a big fan of Josh Brown. I think he might be a guy that might play in the top six because we're right now under the cap right now, or we're over the cap, so we're over by 300. Plus, we still need to sign Broberg and Holloway, which we'll begin into that a little bit later on as well. But I think we will be able to figure out some way to put those guys under the cap. But I think CC might be your guy to trade away and then probably play Josh Brown. But Josh Brown has not been a guy that has been playing very good. I think he's mostly been playing with the Arizona Coyotes and just put up atrocious numbers. Or I guess, no, you got drafted by Florida. But I'm pretty sure he played with Arizona there for a good bit. Or Utah, I guess. But I wasn't really a big fan of Josh Brown. Never was. And I just don't think he's that great of a pickup, especially if we are going to be playing him as a top six guy. Not my go-to. We did get Corey Perry. Now, the thing with Corey Perry is he is slowing down massively, and especially he showed that in the playoffs. I think with Corey Perry, the biggest thing is you don't play him the full season. You play him half of the season. And especially since he's looking like he'll be slotted in on that third line, it's kind of a concern for me. I'm hoping that Connor Brown definitely has a big bounce-back season. He had a very good time during the playoffs, and, I was very happy to see that Connor Brown did kind of turn himself around a little bit, but I want to see him produce big time in the regular season. And I think for Connor Brown, like Corey Perry is a big question mark throughout the season. Can he stay healthy? Can he keep up with the rest of the guys throughout the season? It's kind of a, Corey Perry's really good in the room. Can he play good hockey throughout the entire season? That's my biggest question. Mathias Janmark, I love the guy during the playoffs. I think he was an absolute champion during the playoffs. Not so big of a deal during the regular season. I was never really a big Mathias Janmark fan, to be honest with you. As you guys probably seen over the years with the OGRs, was never a big guy on Mathias Janmark. But I think as a guy that will definitely be a good depth guy for the team, he was playing amazing in the playoffs. And if we could get that exact same Mathias Janmark come towards next playoffs, I think he'll be a huge piece of the team. And at the AAV that he got is not too bad. I'm just hoping that he can play good during the regular season like he did during the playoffs, because I think he could be a very good player. And then we also got Adam Henrique to a contract as well, which I am a big fan of Adam Henrique. He put up 50 points this past season, and to be honest with you, the contract that we got him at, a 3-year, 2-year deal, that's a steal of a deal, boys. A guy that could get you 20 goals a season, a guy that's been putting up, 40 to 50 points a season over the past few years for the, I guess Anaheim Ducks. He's been amazing. And I think he was great during the playoffs. He was pretty good during the regular season. I think he finally started finding his form more and more during the regular season or during the playoffs, and started playing really good. And he's a great face-off guy. I really love Adam Henrique. He's a very versatile guy, which then kind of happened to kind of push out Ryan McLeod, which then we made that big deal. And that was a massive deal. We picked up Matthew Savoy. We traded away Ryan McLeod and Tyler Tullio. Another prospect that I did like in Tyler Tullio, but wasn't developing very well with the Bakersfield Condors. Just was kind of staying at the same kind of stats. Wasn't really moving up. He was playing really well in the OHL, just wasn't doing very good in the AHL. But the fact that you were able to trade away Ryan McLeod, who's been a struggling forward for the Edmonton Oilers. I always loved Ryan McLeod. I think he plays a great defensive game, very strong. But when you get a guy like Adam Henrique on your team, do you really need a guy like Ryan McLeod on the team? No, not really. He's kind of expendable. So what do? You go out and you pick one of the best prospects in the league, a top 50 prospect, a guy that I very much think will be a top 6 forward for the Edmonton Oilers moving forward, in Matthew Savoy. A guy who put up 24 points in 19 games in the WHL playoffs. Now, he was an overager, but the fact of the matter is, he's a very good player. He put up point per game totals in the AHL for a little bit there. He's a very good player who I believe will almost be an NHL ready player in the next year or two, to be honest with you. I think he'll be a guy that might even see some NHL time this upcoming season. And if he is, he's going to be an elite offensive guy for the Edmonton Oilers. He's a small guy, but man, I think he's going to be able to put up a lot of points. He's a St. Albert boy. He's an Alberta guy. And I think that's what the Edmonton Oilers are trying to focus on. They're trying to focus on picking up players who are, dedicated Oilers guys who are going to be in the Edmonton Oilers for a long time. And Matthew Savoy is an amazing pickup. Then we make another little deal where we traded away Xavier Bourgault and picked up Juraj Jurtavine. And now everyone was like, oh my God, this guy is going to be an AHL fringe guy. We traded away Xavier Bourgault, and we could have had Wyatt Johnston with this pick. And very true. We could have had Wyatt Johnston with this pick. Wyatt Johnston was just picked just a little bit ahead of Xavier Bourgault. But to be honest with you, at the time, that Xavier Bourgault and Wyatt Johnston, I think, were very much in the same caliber. Wyatt Johnston put up some amazing stats with the Windsor Spitfires. And you also had Xavier Bourgault put up some great numbers with the Shawinigan characters. I'd probably say that very wrong. But he had a very good year in the QMJHL as well. So you had two guys that put up some great years, and just Xavier Bourgault never panned out for the Edmonton Oilers right after that. He went off to Bakersfield, struggled, didn't really do very much, and so we went out and picked up Juraj Jurtavine. And honestly, of course, people are going to be like, oh, fuck it, this guy sucks. Because, Edmonton Oilers fans seem to have some PTSD about Finnish players. Whenever they hear players from Finland, it is like a PTSD flashback. And they think of Jesse Puljujärvi and all the failures that we've had with many European players. But I do like Juraj Jurtavine. I think he's not going to be an elite level player. He's not going to be a guy that's going to, take over You know, he's not going to be that, you know, what Xavier Bourgault was supposed to be, but I think he's going to be a nice fringe top 6 guy. I think at best he's going to be a depth guy for the team, where he's going to be playing in that third, fourth line kind of area. But I think it's going to be a guy that's going to be a good goal scorer. He's put up some great goal scoring numbers in the Liga. He's been playing quite well with the Bellevue Senators. Was very close to playing with the Ottawa Senators there for a good bit, but the Ottawa Senators were more focusing on their depth guys being more physical more than actual offensive talent. But I think Robert Yurtseven will be a great pickup. I think he's going to be almost a guy that could even be able to step up in the lineup here very soon for the Edmonton Oilers. So I think it's a very good deal. Not amazing. It sucks that we did lose Xavier Bourgault, but at the end of the day, he wasn't panning out. He wasn't developing very much for us. So we might as well get rid of him and throw him off to a team that might be able to get something a little bit more out of him. So you take a look at what the Edmonton Oilers did this past offseason. We got Skinner, we got Arvidsson, we bolstered up our prospect core a little bit. I think we did some very, very good moves. Now, I still have a lot of question marks. The defense core is still a very big question mark for me, especially that Broberg might be playing in the top 4 this upcoming season. Can Broberg take that upcoming step? Also, can we get Broberg and Holloway back to contracts, because they are still RFA, so still tons of big questions left. Can also Stuart Skinner be a big guy for the Edmonton Oilers this upcoming season? As we all know, Stuart Skinner wasn't very good during the playoffs. He was wishy-washy. There was moments where he looked amazing, and then there was other moments where he just didn't look that great. And I would really love to see Stuart Skinner take a big step up this upcoming season and really be that big cornerstone goalie. He was not bad this past season at .905 save percentage, but I think we need him to be a lot better for the Edmonton Oilers this upcoming season. And it seems like the management seems to have that belief as well, and they're just going to be going with Calvin Pickard and Stuart Skinner. And we're going to be seeing, I was kind of talking with my father, and he was saying that he was thinking that Vander Kane might be thrown on LTIR this upcoming season. And if that happens, that will definitely clear us of cap, which I think might be the case because of his hip injury. He might just take surgery, because from what we were seeing here, there was rumors that he's dealing with a hip issue. There's no decision on whether he'll need surgery or not yet, so I think that's what they're kind of waiting on whether or not they're just going to throw him on LTIR or not. I think that's going to be a big question there. If he goes on LTIR, then we really don't have to really worry about trading anybody away, and that means we have enough cap hit to sign both Holloway and Broberg. So still a lot of big questions left. I'll definitely be making videos once that stuff comes out on when we do sign Holloway and Broberg. But until then, guys, thank you very much for watching. Tell me, guys, in the comment section below what you guys thought of this past free agency day, because honestly, there was a lot that happened. A lot of crazy news hit the floor. So let me guys know what you guys thought in the comment section below of this Edmonton Oilers offseason. I thought it was amazing. I think this was one of the best offseasons since we got Chris Pronger all those years ago. I think this was one of our best, and of course getting McDavid, that was easily one of our best off seasons I think we've ever done. But that's just a draft pick, and that was probably one of the easiest decisions you could ever make. But I think this is definitely a Stanley Cup caliber team with the way that we've built up, and I'm very, very excited to see what's in store for the Edmonton Oilers. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Adios, amigos.